Welcome to Systems Dialogue. Today we will be covering topics related to Web 3.0 and how it will transform the future. We will also be covering in our conversation what are the components of Web 3.0 and how they will play a role in real world life. Later on, we will cover some use cases revolving around retail, banking, and daily communication structures. After that, we will also touch base what role Systems Limited is playing in this Web 3.0 and how this Web 3.0 will be beneficial for our country. With me is Usman Ur Rahman. He will also join the conversation with me. So Usman, I think we can start,
yeah,
right?
I would love to speak about it. So I think there's a wave of transformation going on, and Web 3.0 is at the heart of that transformation. And I think there is a larger opportunity for us as Pakistanis and in the consumer market. So we see the trends in the market. We see there is an upward momentum for the resources on Web 3.0. And I think we can rail on to that wave. I think, Asif, to begin with, we see the journey from Web 1.0 onward. How do you define the phases for our consumer, for our viewers? Walk us through the entire journey of web.
Obviously, web interface is an old technology. It started with Web 1.0, where we have static pages, HTML pages, and it was just used to display some static information. Later on in the 20th century, it became more interactive, integrated with databases and real-time data, which is happening now. We are moving towards Web 3.0, which is called a semantic web. That means data is now intelligent. Since this is a major shift overall, it is all about a metaverse, distributed technologies like blockchain. It is a complete revolution is coming on. Right. So Web 3.0 is obviously all about the distributed technologies, immersive experience, on top of the 5G network, everything.
Yeah. So the way I see it, I think there are a plethora of technologies which are emerging right now. Web 3.0, as you rightly put it, it's more immersive. It's going to be decentralized in nature. And I think with the suite of technologies that we at Systems work at, well, they are there is a transformation going on in that scale. So we see IoT, intelligent IoT, intelligent edge. We see augmented and virtual reality platform. You already spoke of metaverse. We have got blockchain at the back of it. So I think all of them are going to work together with AI, and then they are going to lead to a higher dimension in the Web 3.0 arena.
Right, Usman. So like we were talking before as well about these terminologies. So what is your say on that decentralization terminology for organizations?
So there's a concept in Web 3.0. I think the viewers will be familiar. We call it DAOs, which is the decentralized autonomous organization, and they are slightly different from the conventional organization. The way it happens is the conventional organization, like take the example of Facebook or Meta, they are heavily controlled, and there is an internal policy making which is defining the governance for the end user. In DAOs, the change is slightly different. This works slightly differently. DAOs gives the autonomicity to the user. So the individual, the user, the content creator, they are at the heart of policy and governance. We can see the example of it in the cryptocurrencies, where there are various DAOs which allow the governance token to be distributed by amongst the user, and then they control the policy. So while there are still few stakeholders in the heart of the organization, the majority of the decisions are taken by the consumers.
Right. So Usman, another thing which is important is that the difference between Web 3.0 and Web 2.0 is Web 3.0 empowers the end user, the artists, the creators. They are the owners of their data, right? In the older Web 2.0 version, there was a concept of central authorities. With Web 3.0, they are shattering these central authorities and giving autonomy to the end user, right?
I think I personally am at the very far right on this equation. I'm of the impression that down the road, maybe a decade down the road, it will go even beyond the content creators. The viewers would even get the royalty because they are the one who are generating the ads. I think this is yet to materialize. We see that YouTube, TikTok, and on the other social media platform, they are actually empowering the creator right now. but the control is still residing with the central party. So you're absolutely right that the content creator in future, they'll be the one who will be generating more leads and revenue. But I think the far end of this is that the end consumer would actually benefit out of it.
Right, Usman. So, for the viewers, if we try to explain that autonomy related to the immersive experience, how we can explain it, this scenario?
You see, and you and your team is actually building in metaverse right now. So immersive technology is fundamentally that it allows individuals to be put in the heart of the metaverse in an experience, in an environment, in a virtual environment where their entire persona is materialized. So, for example, they say like 55% of somebody's communication is their body language, and then there is a verbal and non-verbal cues. This is limited in the two-way projection that we see today, even in the screen sharing or the videos, as you see right now. In the metaverse environment, in the immersive environment, you actually put an individual at the heart of the conversation. So we will still be living in 3,000 kilometers apart in two different parts of the world, while we'll be interacting on a platform, a metaverse platform, the sorts that your team is building, and I believe our team is going to demo it in the video as well.
Yeah, you rightly said we are building the platform by the name riftspace.digital, right? And we have started our journey in, I think, 6 months back, building our own platform. So rightly, as you mentioned, that it is the immersive experience for the remote users who can collaborate in a common room, joining from different parts of the world, and giving the real experience to all the audience. For example, you can meet some of your colleague who might be in some other country, right? In a 2.0 way of communication, you usually communicate via Zoom or Teams meeting. But in Web 3.0 way of communication, you will be interacting with him with his avatars and using his actions. And every immersive experience means basically you are saying just like you are talking directly to him in front of you.
And I think one of the things I want to talk about, so for the viewers, I lead the pre-sales for MEA and APAC region, and so we come across a lot of opportunity. We know Asif is currently building. I think a lot of viewers are of the impression that this Web 3.0 is just an illusion, or it's just an expression out there, and it's not materializing. We know that there is a lot of opportunity in the market. You want to walk us through a few use cases into different sectors?
Right. So basically, in our platform, we started with obviously the collaboration platform.
Right.
For example, for our own organization, we will be rolling out that conference room feature where, like I mentioned, we will be interacting with our colleagues across the world in an immersive way, in a more collaborative way in our conference room. And coming to the other use cases, we are targeting retail and banking industry for the time being. In retail, obviously, it is a different user experience, right? And for banking, obviously, the same different immersive user experience. For example, imagine if currently you are able to do all your banking related work using their mobile app, right? But it is just an alternative channel where you can walk into any virtual bank branch and interact directly with the banking personnel there, and you can interact and directly fill whatever forms you usually fill online, with more feedback from the personnel. And on top of that, we are also building some AI assistant, virtual AI assistant bot, which will be standing on these virtual worlds, which will be trained on the specific business, and they will be guiding us.
Right, that's interesting. You want to speak a bit about the technologies here, the ones that you're building on?
Yeah, sure. So basically, we are building on, there is a framework called Babylon JS. It's a 3D platform, just like in a conventional world, Unity 3D and Unreal. This is the web-based popular framework, and lot of big giants are investing heavily in this, including Microsoft and Babylon JS, right? So coming back to other use cases, Usman, can you explain some other use cases coming in your mind to cover that immersive and distributed real estate?
So I think there is a lot of opportunity that we see in the Middle East. There's a lot of real estate work going on, and we see every week we see an opportunity where there is a need for a metaverse environment for the new digital and smart cities which are coming into play. We see a lot of practical opportunities out there, and the whole idea is revolving around digital twin. That if there is a physical building out there, if there is a physical office, we need to have a presence in the metaverse environment for the same. And this is even true for the physical gadgets as well as the human, where the avatar concept comes into play.
We are also linking our platform with these NFT marketplace, and interestingly, we have also created an NFT marketplace of our own as well, right? And like you have mentioned, there is a concept of digital twin for every asset, like either real estate or gadgets. If you heard about the case study of Nike, they are also basically giving the digital version of their shoes online in the form of NFT. So all these technologies are coming along. So it's a huge basically opportunity and alternative channel for communication.
We are sitting in Pakistan. System has a presence which is global. We have already spoken about the opportunities that we are coming across. How do you see it coming to us as Pakistanis?
Right, for Pakistanis, I think we are just behind in terms of, you can say, regulations. So regulations are not in place. From technology perspective, we are not backwards. The example is the Nadra and other sophisticated system we are in place. So it is just a matter of defining the true regulations. They just need to link with the modern technologies, right? Imagine we have an ID card, Nadra identity card, which is used countrywide, right, for identification. What if that can be linked to your wallet, right? So that means you don't need to carry your ID card everywhere. So it can be verified directly. For example, someone want to access your information, the request will come to you to approve it. It's your call to approve or disapprove, right? So everything is in place. It's just a matter of regulations. And if you see in the Middle East region, they are slowly moving and regularizing. Even in Dubai, I think I can see now shops are offering we accept crypto payments and things.
Are you getting the resources, the right resources in the market? Is there an upward momentum for Web 3.0 personnel? Are they scarce? And how do you suggest it from the perspective of professionals stepping into this arena, learning it, and as well as for the students who are just getting ready to get started?
I think Systems Limited already participating and launching multiple platforms to cross-train resources, just like they have a multiple academia linkage. And so being the pioneers in this software development, we can also cross-train different, even students from different universities on these technologies. And interestingly, we have recently run for one of our universities hands-on session lab on all these technology, covering quickly what are the concepts, what will be the career path for the students coming from the different
universities. And are you like teaching them practically like Solidity, hands-on smart contracts writing and others?
So basically, it has a different, you can say, technologies to cover. Solidity in a smart contract is one thing, obviously, for creating the decentralized application. But linking with the immersive 3D world, but it's not very difficult. It's just a matter of training the resources who are interested. Okay, Usman. Another question is Gavin Wood, who basically initiated that Web 3.0 terminology 2014, asked about the role this decentralization can play for the democracy of the organization. Can you speak a bit about it?
Yeah, I would love to. Actually, Gavin Wood is highly respected, and one of the fundamental reason is that while Vitalik Buterin and Charles Hoskinson, who is the creator of Cardano, ADA, both of them were in a deep discussion about the theoretical concept of Ethereum. Gavin Wood is the first guy who actually implemented the platform. He's the guy who introduced smart contracts. And when you bring in the smart contracts, you bring in the conditionals and everything. You give rise to the whole idea of applications which are decentralized and where the power shifts from a central authority to a decentralized authority. And I think this concept has now been taken forward in the form of gamify, socialify. There are a lot of people in the market who are of the impression that this is going to give rise to the democratic value, because you are going to shift the governance authority from the central party to the decentralized nature to the consumer. So you're going to shift the entire authority. And that's also where the DAOs concept, the decentralized autonomous organizations come in,
Right.
where there is no central party which is governing. It's the decentralized nature of Web 3.0 which is going to give rise to whole policy making. I think I have a question for you,
Right.
and this is more about we see a lot of components, we see a lot of technologies in the market. Are they going to work together to give rise to Web 3.0 or even beyond?
Right. Like we discussed earlier as well, Web 3.0 has a multiple components, right? So starting from the you can say the blockchain, which you talk about, the AI, IoT, NFTs, marketplaces, right? And basically all things are linked together. For example, if you are going to some virtual store in metaverse, right? Your wallet is connected. There might be some smart contracts that are written for that specific store
For the transaction which is happening.
for the transaction. So basically, your wallet is connected. So any NFTs or digital assets you own will be linked to your wallet.
Right.
Right. And similarly, whatever you are shopping in the virtual store, that will also be once you purchase it, that will go into your wallet. Right.
And I think this is going to be hosted over the cloud. So cloud comes in,
Yeah.
and then you would have like bots, avatars, which are built on top of AI. So I think the whole technology suite is going to be clubbed in the metaverse, and that's why the rise for metaverse. So all the technologies are actually going to integrate in the metaverse. Is that how you see it?
Yeah. So basically, just like when you are creating new building, physical world, and you create building, you have different gadgets which collect data from different sources. Take an example of data center as well, right? So it's just a digital twin or digital version of the same physical asset. So you need to connect with the IoT devices as well in that immersive experience. Similarly, you need to collect your wallet for autonomy or for different things. Continuing our discussion on different use cases for different industries, how you see Web 3.0 and metaverse playing a role for education?
That's a very fine question. I think with after COVID, post-COVID world, we already see that the education has shifted from conventional classrooms to the virtual environments. And I think in the virtual environments, one of the things which is still limited is the 2D projections of the individuals. So you can't see and actually interact with them. And then there are limitations. So for example, if there is a teacher who is an instructor who is addressing a class of let's say 30, how can you actually keep an eye on all 30 of those screens? And so there are cases happening where individuals are actually putting a mascot of them in front of the camera,
Right.
and they are playing around. I think immersively in the metaverse environment, that's another use case. You would be inside the heart of the environment, and a teacher can easily see all 30 of them in one go, just like we are interacting, or an actual teacher is standing in a classroom environment. This is just one example of many.
Right, and similar teacher can write on the whiteboard in the classroom and share a screen, everything.
Right. And I think this is going to be more interactive in as compared to the real world, because of the access to the digital arena available to every single student.
Right.
For example, one of the very interesting cases that I saw, there is a classroom environment, and rather than an individual has to raise the hand, a marker is projected on top of their head, and so individual can easily spot who has a question, who has raised a
Right.
hand. So that's how you see. You want to speak about your journey of Web 3.0 use cases primarily in the retail sector?
Like I mentioned earlier, this is just an alternative channel for big giants who have presence, Web 2.0 presence already online in form of mobile applications and web. They can now move to the virtual store in the metaverse. Obviously, that virtual store will be linked to the same inventory. That means the web, their inventory and their backend will be same, but their inventory will be displayed in the form of 3D assets in that virtual store, and that will give good shopping experience to the end user client coming to the virtual store.
And I think the possibility of advertisement, there's a huge industry around advertisement and marketing, would be much higher in the metaverse.
Right. So just if you compare to even with the current Web 2.0, you based on your preferences, ad preference, you see customized ads, right? So same thing is applicable to Web 3.0 as well. So when you will go into the some virtual store, obviously they have insights about your preferences, right? They can present you with a 3D content of the same, you can say, in a similar manner.
Right. So again, you and your team are actually building. You're building metaverse, you're building blockchain, NFTs, and all of these platforms. Do you see that this is an expensive arena? This requires quite an investment, or what do you suggest for the companies out there who are looking forward to invest in this?
So just like any other platform, it has multiple stages. For someone who owns the business and just want to replicate their business identity into the metaverse, it's a simple process. For example, it can be a simple identity, just replica, an identity with some interactive components in there.
Right.
And third stage is interaction, including integration with the external different worlds. Right?
I think for the benefit of the viewers, you want to give an example of this interaction?
Like we are working for one of our bank partner, we are working on their virtual bank branch.
Right.
And there we are creating interactive experience for the car Ijara.
So you're actually building the metaverse for one of their physical branches. Is that so?
We are trying to replicate the physical branch into a virtual branch, and trying to give the same immersive experience like you walk into the real branch, right?
Right, right.
So in that metaverse branch, when the customer walk in, obviously, he can interact with their person standing there from the bank, right? And ask different questions, and they will be presented with some interactive kiosk terminal, where they can choose what services they are interested in.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
And so this is for a bank in Pakistan, if I may?
Yeah, for the time being, we are just doing a POC for a bank.
For a bank, which is interesting. From a technology perspective, the metaverse that you're building, is it linked with any blockchain at the back end? And if so, is it Ethereum, is it Solana, is it Matic? Which one are you actually building on?
Right. For the time being, what we have done, we have created our own NFT marketplace for consumption, and we have deployed Polygon server on our own Azure instances. Right. And in the future, what we are trying to link it with popular NFT marketplace like OpenSea.
Right. And the metaverse, there is a plethora of metaverses which are popping up every day. How do you see the future to be? Is it going to be isolated metaverses, or do you think, as you perceive it, do you think they're going to be clubbed in together, giving rise to a larger metaverse?
Right. So if you look into the other metaverse platforms that are in market, that are mostly focused on the gamification part, right? If you take an example of Roblox or other platforms, Decentralized, so they are their business model is creating different worlds and selling the NFTs, consuming the NFTs, right? But at Systems, we are targeting the corporate customers. We are trying to create digital twins for our corporate clients, right? And the edge is that since we are building a platform on our own, that can be hosted on their client's own domain as well. Right.
So they are empowered, they are the custodians of the entire implementation.
Yes. So this is the difference.
Right. But they will still be accessible through the same Web 3.0 standard, which means your wallet coming into play and all.
Yes, that we are using the standard Web 3.0 practices. So once that regulation is in place in Pakistan, that can easily be linked to any standard market as well, right? For the time being, we have linked with our own internal servers for consumption. But the technology-wise, we are covering all the Web 3.0 standards.
Which is great. And I think one of the misconceptions that individuals have out there, again, because of a wide use of cryptocurrencies, you want to speak a bit about the tokenomics and the economies which are built in Web 3.0 and how they are different from the cryptocurrencies?
Right. So again, the building economy obviously generates from some ideas, right? So for example, if you launch some token, but it cannot be consumed for any effective things, obviously it will not picked by the audience, right? So same thing is applicable to Web 3.0 as well, right? For example, if you launch some specific token for your services and you open your virtual branch or anything, virtual identity, if end user will be getting some advantage of using and consuming.
A practical use case for it.
Yes,
Right.
so that is a driving
So I think
force.
that's assuring enough. The meme coins down the road would die out, and practical use cases would emerge.
Yeah, so take an example. For example, take an example of Kareem, for example, right? It's a necessity, right? You need to travel. If you need to travel somewhere and you don't have your own car, then you look for alternative services like Kareem or other Uber, right? So same thing is applicable to, you can say, there is an interesting use case if you go through it that is related to the Texas, right, where they have banned Uber. So some person basically created the coin ARC token and created the Kareem-like application, decentralized application, and everyone started using.
Yeah, I think that's a very promising one. Asif, thank you for being here today. You traveled all the way from Karachi for this. I'm excited about the future. Personally, I'm heavily invested into this space. You guys are building it. System is actively building it. How soon do you think we can see a practical implementation of the metaverse that you guys are building? And how do you see the future going forward from here?
Right, Usman. So basically, we are in the process of launching the beta version, which is an invite-only version, and I think it will be launched within 2 weeks' time for the beta one. And after the beta launch, obviously, we will plan out the rollout to the larger audience.
And here we are speaking of the metaverse that you guys are building, correct?
Yes, right. Metaverse platform we are building. And then on top of that, we are, like I mentioned, we are also targeting some customer use cases as well. So first, in a beta, it will be launched for the internal consumption. Whoever signed up for the beta and accepted, they can explore the platform.
So I think for the viewers, the next video that we'll have will most optimally be in the metaverse environment. I mean, I'm looking forward for the future. Asif, thank you for being here.
Thank you, Usman.